In today's episode, during listener Q&A, Daniel and I discuss how to prioritize old house projects when you're short on time.
And later, we talk to Erin Keegan, who specializes in selling old houses in the Los Angeles area.
But first, I'm Stacy Grinsfelder.
And I'm Daniel Cantor.
This is True Tales from Old Houses, episode 95. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Stacy. 95 episodes in. How are
95.
you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm so excited. Actually, I have something to say about that. But before we launch into today's episode, I do want to say thank you to our Season 9 sponsors, who are a very important part of this whole project. Those sponsors are the Craftsman Store, Sutherland Wells, Preservan, and Abatron. So what I wanted to say about our sponsors is that they are coming together. I remember last episode we talked about giveaways, and our sponsors are coming together to provide some really nice items. And they're going to give them away as a thanks for helping True Tales from Old Houses reach 100 episodes, this huge milestone.
So exciting, and we're so grateful. They're awesome sponsors, handpicked for you. Please check them out and support them. So when do we find out what these items are?
Well, next episode, I'll start revealing the items, and I will also tell you how you can enter to win the giveaways. Exciting stuff.
Very cool. Thanks, guys.
Do you have any announcements, Daniel, besides the fact that we're rounding the bend towards 100?
Oh, gosh. I guess a couple. So last episode, I mentioned that we are seeking volunteer designers for my organization, the Kingston City Land Bank. So what we do is take these very, very derelict vacant homes and sell them as affordable housing after doing a full and complete rehab. So I've done a lot of the design work so far, but I'm really looking forward to getting more people involved. So I've gotten a couple exciting expressions of interest. So if you choose to throw your hat in the ring, I can guarantee you will be in good company. So yeah, we'll put this in the show notes, I think, but you can email chair@kclb.org. Just a little bit about yourself and some past experience, and we will get right back to you.
Is there a closing date or anything for this?
No, not really.
It's kind of open. All right.
Yeah, it's kind of open, and even, we're sort of always doing this. So this will be for 4 houses that are coming up, maybe 5, depending on what happens with one of them. So I may design 1, I may design 0, depending on how many people we can get involved. But yeah, I think even if it's not for this round, there will be more houses. So
great.
Yeah.
All right. What else?
Oh, well, I did want to mention, for those of you who have done it, thank you very much. For those of you who haven't, we would always appreciate if you would leave a rating and review for this podcast. It's a really good way to let other people know that it's worth a listen, and it just makes Stacy and I feel warm and fuzzy. So please do it. We'd appreciate it. And then, do I get to say it? Our next.
Yes, you do.
Okay. So Stacy and I, you may have noticed, we are both talkers and we'll just do it forever. So we thought, what if we break format and start doing mini episodes, otherwise known as minisodes? We don't really know exactly what this is going to be. We just knew we needed more time to chit chat. So if you have ideas or things you want to hear on these minisodes, we just want it to be fun and casual and enjoyable for all of you, as it is for us to just be having our private conversation that's also recorded. So
exactly. And it's available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yes. I'm really excited about the minisodes.
I know I am too. Well, I do have something exciting to share today, and that is that I'm going to be the keynote speaker at the Missouri Preservation Conference, which takes place in Joplin, Missouri, June 7th through 9th.
That's so cool. I knew you were going. I didn't know you were the keynote speaker.
I am the keynote speaker.
That's so exciting. Congratulations.
Somebody thought that would be a good idea, so therefore I have to stand up and talk to people for an hour. But I will be talking about the importance of sharing preservation stories and using storytelling as a means of motivating homeowners and communities to really value the craftsmanship and history of their area. I mean, that's really one way we're going to save these properties. If people care, then they're more interested in keeping them around. So you can go to PreserveMo, that's M-O, preservemo.org for more information about that. And I hope that if you are in the area or you want to travel to Missouri, hot and steamy in the summer, June 7th through 9th, you can go to the Missouri Preservation Conference.
That's so cool, Stacy. I did not know that. You've mentioned going a few times. I didn't know you were keynote speaking.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being excited for me.
Always.
The other thing I wanted to mention is that we are down to the wire to book the tour that I'm hosting to Quebec City, Montreal, the Canadian Maritimes. That's August 10th through 20th. The deadline to sign up for that trip is actually April 30th, but the final payment is only due May 27th. I've written here in my notes, we're going to be overnight on a train. And in parentheses, I wrote no murders. And I kind of wonder what I was talking about. Sometimes I leave these funny little notes for myself. But anyway, we're going to see all sorts of old buildings, the Cape Breton Highlands National Park and Halifax. And the price, I'm just going to tell you what the price is. I haven't really said the price here, but the price is $5,399, $5,399 for a double, and $6,200 for a single. And the reason why it is that price is because the airfare is included. And airplanes or the flights leave from all over the United States. So it's not like you have to pay for a flight to get to the location to take a flight. You leave from where you are and you get to Montreal. We also have accommodations. Most of our meals are included. All of the attractions are premier attractions. We have a professional tour director. It's not just me, I promise. I don't know nearly enough to share this whole trip with you. We also have a professional motor coach driver, and the deposit's only $200. And then, like I said, the full payment is due May 27th. And if you want a $100 travel voucher, you can actually watch a video about the trip first. And I'll put that in the show notes. There's a link there, and all of the show notes for the past, 6 months, 7 months. That link has been there for the trip. And there are, something I didn't mention that could be helpful to people too, is that if you don't want to include your airfare, if you have frequent flyer miles, there are land-only rates, and you can talk to the booking agent about that. So you'll call 888-867-2190 to book and ask all your questions about it. But I really hope you can come, and all that information will be right in the show notes.
And what do they ask for? I want to go to Canada with Stacy.
Exactly. So you would talk about this trip, and you'd say, I want to go on the Canadian Maritimes trip with Stacy. Exactly. Cool. And that's all they need to say. So thank you for mentioning that. I forgot.
I don't know how to talk on the phone. I'm a millennial. You have to give very clear instructions.
I am not a millennial, but I too have been brought up with computers. So I would rather just do it online. But you need to call and talk to the nice people at Holiday Vacations, and they will answer all your questions, talk about the refund policy, and just make your day, I'm sure. So I hope you can come. And April 30th, deadline's looming.
Sorry, I have a quick question about the price.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So it's per person?
That is a good question, actually. $5,399 per person if you're a double. So if you're like a couple or you have a roommate or friend or whatever. And then if you want a single room all by yourself, for all you introverts, $6,200.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it's a 10-day trip.
That's a bargain.
Definitely. So Daniel, what have you been doing lately?
Oh, gosh, too many things. I've been working a lot on my little project house. You know, these renovations are full of highs and lows, and truthfully, we've been in a little bit of a low for the past couple of weeks, but some things shifted this morning that have made me feel much better. And then also working on Brad's lake house, which I'm not sure people realize is like 5-hour drive from me. So it's not all that easy. So it's just been really busy, but he had his spring break. And so it was sort of our last good block of time to get stuff done before spring, summer really hits. What have you been up to?
Recently, I came to the realization that I am in the last year of living in this house. And that's put me in a little bit of a panic. I mean, not a panic, like full blown waking up in the middle of the night, but the understanding that I really don't have that many months left to get this house ready to put on the market. I'd called my friend, she's a realtor, and I said, what's the best month to put a house on the market here in Western New York? And she said, March. And that's less than a year away.
Interesting.
Yeah, we have just summer months. The summer months here are the only really nice months to work outside. So I'm just kind of feeling this that it's really crunch time. I need to declutter and get rid of a bunch of stuff, and I need to finish the staircase and wrap up some of these things that have just been lounging in my workshop for months, years, whatever. So I'm trying to plan that out and just keep moving forward without getting too stressed out about it. But yeah, that's it really. Just organizing and planning and doing some work for sure. I have a lot of windows to do.
Yeah, we got to teach Millie how to do some windows one of these days.
Yeah, Millie, the dog, is really no help at all, I gotta say.
She's got to earn her keep. Come on, Millie. Yeah, my dog's neither. Bungie actually broke a window the other day, so, he's actively unsupportive of my work and efforts.
I actually told my kids the other day, I said, we're making good progress on getting things done, but we all need to just stop breaking stuff.
Right.
Like, we cannot break anything else. We have to work at a net gain here, not at a net loss.
It's very difficult to just stop breaking things in these houses. Sometimes it just happens.
Okay, well, I think we need to take a break. You ready for a break?
I like breaks.
Okay, me too, because listener Q&A is up next.
Yes.
True Tales from Old Houses is supported by the Craftsman Store, another excellent resource from Scott Seidler of the Craftsman blog. The Craftsman Store is your go-to place for old house tools and supplies.
Once again, our friend Scott has taken the hassle out of tracking down all of those many specialized old house supplies and tools that we need and put it all in one place for us. So it's a great little online hardware store full of books, tools, replacement parts, and more.
As I've said before, I do buy window restoration supplies from the Craftsman Store, including diamond glazing points to feed into my glazing point driver, because those darn things are so difficult to find. Scott runs a top-notch small business. The customer service is an actual human, and I find that they ship just as fast as other retailers.
So from window restoration to plaster repair, they have everything you need to do the job like a Stacy Grinsfelder. So check it out today at thecraftsmanstore.com and save 10% on your orders if you use the code TRUETALES.
True Tales from Old Houses is also supported by Preservan, a unique preservation franchise opportunity developed by longtime window restoration pro and our friend Ty McBride. The mission of Preservan is to save the future by preserving the past.
So we love Ty, but what exactly is Preservan?
Well, what if you could go to work every day on your own terms while also doing something meaningful within your community? What if you could start a home service business without owning complicated and expensive tools that are difficult to transport to and from job sites? The team at Preservan will train and support you to operate a Preservan business in your community, equipping you with the tools you need to perform sustainable wood rot repairs and build your own team of epoxy techs.
That sounds hard. So how does that work?
Well, it's not hard at all, because as a Preservan franchise owner, you'll receive the playbook for a proven preservation business, exclusive access to ever-resin epoxy products, business software, and all of the marketing, advertising, training, and technical support you need. Owning a Preservan franchise offers the perfect opportunity for work-life balance while serving your neighbors and community in a recession-proof industry.
So what you're saying is you'll get to work your own hours and spend the rest of your time in ways that are important to you.
Yes.
To learn more about becoming a part of the Preservan family and their mission, go to preservanfranchise.com/truetales. That's PRESERVAN, preservanfranchise.com/truetales.
All right, we are back.
We're back.
Welcome back.
Hello.
And it is time for listener Q&A.
Uh-oh. The last time I really feel like I could have stepped in something, so now I'm nervous.
No, you're good. You're good. Today's question comes from Samantha, and she asks, when you have a tiny amount of time, where do you start with an old house? And I want to clarify that Samantha has limited time because she has small children. But limited time, of course, comes in many forms. Some people work long hours. Some people don't live at the house they're working on. All kinds of situations can present challenges as far as time goes to work on these houses. So do you want to start, Daniel?
Oh, God. I mean, first thing I just get rid of those kids. End of list. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
They're really holding you back.
Gosh, I mean, it's a good question. I guess to me, it's about breaking things down into small pieces. So I'm sort of a compulsive list maker. I don't really ever consult my lists after I've written them, but it just sort of helps me break things down into smaller chunks. I've been working on multiple houses for many years, but the one down the street that I bring up all the time, there have been many times where I really only have like 2 hours that day to work on the house, and it might be broken up with some meeting in between or something. So that can be really hard. But I think just sort of bearing in mind that like every step is a step forward, even if it's only an hour or two, is still progress. And that's a good thing.
I like that you think that with small children, she has an hour or two to work on her house.
I don't know anything about having small children, but you do. You've had 4 of them.
It just so happens, yes, that I have had 4, and I do understand what she's going through. And little kids are very, very needy. God bless them. What I would say, I guess, is I agree with you. List making is super helpful. I had this conversation actually with Alex Santantonio when we did a segment on a previous episode about list making. And I was telling him, I said, I didn't used to be a list maker because it made me too stressed out. Whenever I would see all the things there that I had to do, it would just almost make it worse for me. But I have come around and I've started to sort of take one task and explode it into a bunch of tiny little mini tasks. And that is helpful. My kids are not little anymore, but because I want to give Samantha something concrete to think about, with limited time, your kids are not going to be little forever. So I think I would spend my time focusing on the exterior of the house. If you're actually nailing down projects, making sure your roof is in good order, making sure your foundation's in good order, that there aren't any leaks. There will be a time later when the kids get older and there'll be more time to spend on pretty things and redoing rooms and all kinds of stuff. But I think maintenance is one area that people let fall by the wayside when they run out of time. And I think you'll do yourself a favor, Samantha, by focusing on maintenance tasks. And oftentimes those don't take too long, believe it or not.
That's sound advice, Stacy. It's like you know what you're talking about.
It's coming from a mom, from one mom to another mom, yes. And from 2 old house owners to another old house owner.
From the opposite of a mom. I think another thing I try to do is like, if I'm sort of chipping away at a big project that is going to take a while, which they pretty much all do, I like to sort of try to throw in like a really small project in the meantime, just to like kind of stay motivated. I find that my motivation goes down with the amount of time that I have. And so a few weeks ago, I've been nuts and I was like, I just need to deal with the sash locks. And I went around and like fixed my sash locks. And now my windows don't rattle as much. And it didn't take very long, but it was just like a nice little thing that I actually kind of see and appreciate every day. And it just kind of kept me feeling positive about stuff.
I actually really like that idea too. And especially if you're feeling overwhelmed, having a project that you see that looks nice all the time or most of the time can really help keep your spirits up when you know you don't have a lot of time to work on something else. So for instance, let's say the envelope of the house is completely done. Everything's good. Everything's in good working order. Your maintenance tasks are done. And you have a few minutes.
What house is that? Give me that.
Then it is time to move immediately. Because you won't have time to do all this again. No, just, maybe something like having it look nice by the front door, having everything, an organized section by the front door where the kids can put things away or where you can put things away if kids are not a factor in your life. But something that just feels organized and put together, if that suits your personality, sometimes that can really help when you're living in chaos.
Mm-hmm. And maybe just throw it, I would, as though I have any idea what I'm talking about, but get those kids in on it. It's never too young to learn some stuff, hold a hammer, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or, if kids are not your particular thing, then sometimes I find like my time is really limited because in my head, this is a solo activity and simply has to be. And that's not always true. So sometimes your friends want to hey, even if they're not helping, just to have them there hanging out, can be fun. And then you're sort of killing two birds with one stone.
That's really good advice too. I like that, Daniel.
I don't know. I'm just talking.
All right. Those are some strategies, I suppose, for working on old houses when you have a small amount of time. And I hope that they are helpful.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Samantha. It didn't feel nearly as scary as last week's question. So if anyone else has a question for us to answer on an upcoming episode, please go to truetalesfromoldhouses.com and you can submit it through the contact form there. If your question is too technical for us, we'll try to find a pro to help answer it. And if it's too personal for us, I think we'll just do it anyway. So, go for it.
Sounds good to me. Okay, Daniel, it's time for us to take another quick break.
A break? You don't say. Let's do it.
True Tales from Old Houses is supported by Sutherland Wells. All of Sutherland Wells products are handcrafted in Providence, Rhode Island with the highest quality, sustainably grown tung oil. Tung oil, native to China, has been used for centuries as a durable finish for wood, metal, and stone.
So this is important. Unlike polyurethane, tung oil finish actually penetrates the surface of the wood, so it flexes and contracts as conditions change. This makes it the perfect pre-finish or protectant for everything from fine furniture to window sash and sills.
Specifically for pre-coat, I mix Clarabelle's with my oil primer, and my top coat goes on so smoothly. But Sutherland Wells has an entire product line for whatever you're working on right now. Siding, hardwood floors, furniture restoration, cutting boards, you name it.
So to learn more about the complete product line, please visit Sutherland Wells, that's WELLES, sutherlandwells.com. And to save 10% on your first order, use the coupon code TRUETALES. True Tales from Old Houses is also supported by Abitron, which is now a division of UC Coatings.
Abitron manufactures two of my very favorite products, liquid wood and wood epox, which I've used a ton and I talk about all the time, but I'm getting ready to try their Abocrete on some cracks on my concrete porch, and I'm really looking forward to that.
I need that too for my concrete porch.
Liquid wood and wood epox, as well as their other products, make permanent, cost-effective repairs. And whether you're a first-timer or a professional tradesperson, Abitron products are super easy to use. The instructions are simple, and the results are exceptional. There's no shrinking or sagging.
In addition to wood repair, Abitron also offers other great products for old homes. Specifically for concrete repair, like Stacy mentioned, plaster repair, window glazing, and more.
Check out their website at abitron.com or follow them on Instagram at abitron_UC or on Facebook at Abitron, a division of UC Coatings.
And from now until May 5th, Abitron has a special coupon code just for True Tales listeners. So enter SPRING10 at abitron.com for 10% off your first order. That's SPRING10 to save 10% on your first order at abitron.com. Our guest today is our Insta friend, Erin Keegan. Erin loves old houses, and she and her business partner, Ben, have made it their brand to match buyers with historic properties in the crazy real estate market of Los Angeles, California.
Hello there. I'm Erin Keegan. I'm a historic real estate specialist in Los Angeles with Historic Real Estate LA, and I am restoring my 1913 Craftsman bungalow in South LA.
Hi, Erin.
Hi. This is super surreal. I've been following you guys for so long, so it's crazy.
Oh, well, it's so good to have you here. Yeah, I've been following you for a long time too, I realized.
Likewise.
The real estate market in Los Angeles is bananas. So many people think nothing of just tearing down old houses to buy something new. And I really wanted to get your perspective as someone out west who's going through this. Now, I realized that my perception, it could be way off. So I don't want to generalize. And I thought maybe you could start by just telling us more about the real estate market in your area, because no one knows more about it than you do. So go ahead, educate us.
Well, I will say, in general, trying to buy a piece of the pie here it's Hunger Games level craziness. I mean, it is kill or be killed. And, everybody wants something special. So my real estate partner, Ben Kale, and I, our whole niche is historic architecture. So we draw a lot of people to us that want something special, but we do warn them, like, you gotta fight for it. But yeah, it comes with a lot of strategy and competitiveness and knowing how to target the right properties and stuff like that. But yeah, there's also just a lot of cash around here. Like, there's just people with cash just can pay for it in full and have it be done day. But it's also a lot of fun. But it is not your average real estate market. It moves very, very, very fast. And the pandemic made it even worse. So
wow. So it hasn't slowed down at all since the pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, we had a couple with interest rates going up in October, and then they've kind of been volatile. We had a couple periods where it softened a little bit, and in not every area. LA is very micro markets. It's hard to say all of LA is performing one way or another, but there were definitely a couple moments where certain markets or certain houses weren't moving as fast. And I definitely was telling my clients, get out there right now is the time. But there's so much emotions and psychology that's wrapped into buying homes and people feeling maybe there's a crash around the corner and sitting on the sidelines and then seeing that the crash didn't happen and then kicking themselves. So it's a lot to struggle with up in the head and the heart, as well as getting out there and getting competitive with everybody else. Because a lot of creative people here that want something cool. And so, it's gone in often a week with multiple offers. Everything is gone in a week.
And cash buyers don't care about the interest rate, do they?
No, they're unaffected. So, and it's always been that way. I always tell people it's always been that way. I bought my house 10 years ago or 9 years ago. And it was the recession when there was tons of inventory and it was just a different kind of crazy. And so I always tell people, I bought in a neighborhood that nobody really had their eyes on, that I loved. And it still was crazy. It still was you had to rush out the door in the first 24 hours to go see it before some cash buyer got it. You had to write within the first 48 hours. And by then it was already gone. And it was just a different level of crazy. So when people are it's so crazy now, I'm it's always been crazy. It's always been crazy. The crazy just changes all the time.
Well, so I was curious. You, I believe, are an actor also.
I was. Yeah, I kind of hung that hat up. So
okay.
Yeah, I definitely came out here. I was a theater major. I came out here to do the acting thing from Philadelphia. And I did a lot of commercials, a lot. And kind of in my 30s, I started realizing I was I don't know if I really care about this anymore. But I was still doing it because the irony is, such as life, when you don't care anymore, you start doing really well and everybody wants you. And so it was I kind of hit this part where I was going into audition rooms and I was just hi, I'm me, and I'm going to do my version of me of this, and okay, bye. And then it was book. And I was booking all these things. So you may have seen my face on many commercials looking either stern or smug or I don't know. I seem to book, my resting bitch face has definitely been booked many a job. That's kind of my wheelhouse.
Well, Daniel, it sounds like we have a third person here for our dramatic reading of the play, yes. George Washington Slept Here.
Yes,
I am all in.
You'll be playing all the parts.
We need, 9 female parts and 8 male parts. So yeah, so far we've got 2 females and 1 male.
Yes, I'm in. I'm so in. I love that. Right. Oh my God.
And for anyone who's unclear what we're talking about, we actually talked about the play, I believe the first episode of the season, maybe the second. We had an email telling us about a play called George Washington Slept Here that was a movie. So I actually did get the playbook.
Let's go. I'm so in.
All right. Erin's number 3. Great. Excellent.
And now we're just leaving Easter eggs every episode. We're definitely going to do this. So Stacy, we have to stop talking about it unless we're willing to really commit to our...
Well, I'm willing. It sounds like Erin's willing. You're the one dragging his feet.
There's also, by the way, kind of a running joke in LA that many realtors in LA were once actors. It's kind of oh, what else could I do with my life? Although I'd like to think that my transition into doing this is a little more meaningful than just what else is there to do. But yeah, there is kind of a running joke that there's a lot of actor/realtors running around here. So
Well, so like speaking of that transition, do you like my segue?
Yeah.
Yes, very much.
It seems, at least from my very outside Instagram perspective, that you've built this very quickly, it seems like. I mean, you've gone from kind of not doing this to now you're doing these properties that are like iconic LA architecture.
Yeah, we pinch ourselves all the time, all the time. I have Ben Kale to thank for that a lot. I resisted getting into this like line of work for a long time. I sat at my old crappy corporate job reading your blog, Daniel, before I was a homeowner, like living vicariously through you.
I'm so sorry.
And then I just didn't know if I had what it took. Ben and I both had a lot of negative experiences in our personal home buying journey. And I was like, I don't know that I'm salesy or pushy or like a door knocker. I am just not that person. But I love old homes. And like I had this thing where I kept just being like, I was like sharing old homes from like Craigslist that were like for rent or sale because I just was like obsessively like, oh my God, look at this one. Oh my God, look at that one. And I even had people being like, sending me messages, are you like a realtor on the down low or like what is going on? I'm like, no, I just like kind of love these old homes and da da da. So I think I found a way for like this business to work. Ben and I found a way for it to work for us where like it's very gratifying what we do. And yes, it did kind of get built rather quickly and way more organically than I could have ever dreamed. Like that was always the hope. I like didn't want to get into this feeling like desperate and coming from a job with like a salary and benefits. It's really scary to be like, okay, I gotta get out there and like sell some houses. But I happened to start the parks as just kind of like a way to unapologetically share old homes. My best friend Kelsey was just like, I feel like every time I talk to you about old houses, that's when I see you like really just like full of joy. She's a fellow actress friend of mine. And so she's like, maybe you need to like just channel that into Instagram and like, it'll take you wherever it takes you, maybe. And Ben and I became friends on there. And it just kind of happened out that like once I got my license, we had a conversation. And I felt like a lot of the way he approaches real estate and the marketing of it and what he cares about, and also like how he builds relationships aligned with me and this kind of non-pushy sensibility and kind of like having a sense of humor through it all too. Because it's a challenging market, whether selling or buying in different ways. So it just the timing and I don't know, I feel like the stars kind of aligned. He kind of took me under his wing, started to, like mentor me, but then, the pandemic just created this need that he was like, let's join forces. And we kind of haven't looked back. And it's just, I think we complement each other a lot. And it's just taken what he had already built and like continued to grow it even further. But he worked really hard to kind of build it where it was by the time he took me in. So I learned a lot from him. And it's just kind of blown up over the last couple of years.
Let's talk about that for just a minute. Do you find people who want old houses, or do people who want old houses find you? Or do some people come to you not knowing what they want at all?
We do get some people that sometimes are like, do you only help people with old houses? And we're like, no, like we do help everyone. If you want a modern thing or a flip or a condo, like we help you too. So we definitely make that known. But I do think the majority of the people we work with are coming to us because they're following us on Instagram or finding us through the internet one way or another and are like, like I think with old house people, there's this like, my people, like there's kind of this like my people vibe and you just like want to geek out together. I think a lot of people too that find us, they're old house people and they're coming to us for like guidance too. I mean, that's for buyers especially. They're like, she seems like she really knows a lot. And I see her working on her house. And so they kind of are drawn to us knowing that Ben and I are both fixing up old houses that need everything. And we've been working on them for a decade. And we kind of get to have those conversations with people. So it's an education, like the expectations of how fast something gets renovated it's just a big education. So yeah, they have these resources from us. Ben and I are approaching our houses from two different kind of angles too with the same goal. He always jokes like, I don't get dirty. Erin gets dirty and I write checks. Like he's not going to be on YouTube. He's not going to be on YouTube looking up how to reglaze windows, but I am, And so when you work with us, you kind of have like the guy who's vetting vendors in the right way and, kind of understanding how to do that. I'm doing that too, but I'm also got like the hands-on side of side of things. And I love kind of helping my buyers. If they have a good little project I can help them with after closing, I love doing that. But also from the seller side, I mean, people find us because they want their house showcased in a way that is doing it justice. I mean, we go nuts with marketing and tying in a story and like all these things that add many layers. I think old house people want their hard work kind of on display because you guys know you put a lot of work into it. And when it's time for that send off, it needs a proper send off, and it's emotional. So
for sure.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that very deeply these days.
You're going through that. Yeah.
The way that you guys market these homes is so beautiful.
Yeah, no, we don't spare any expense. I mean, to us, it's like we get emotional seeing the photos and video come back too, and you never want to go cheap on marketing. Like it is worth paying the really good photographers and the really good videographers. And the ones that we have, we really love and are very collaborative in terms of what we're trying to achieve. Our photographers, we just lean a little more editorial. We like kind of embracing like shadows and streaking through, and like we don't want it all blown out, bright and overlit. We kind of like capturing the moodiness of it. I think more realtors are starting to embrace that style of photography. But when I first got into this, I feel like everything was like blown out,
Right.
super bright. You couldn't get any like the texture, soul that's going on in some of these old houses. So it's kind of nice to see that shift in the industry.
And it's so much nicer for me as a Instagram viewer. Like, I don't want to look at listing photos, but I want to look at your listing photo. It's just like beautiful. And it's such a nice thing, I'm sure, for the former owners to be able to take that with them.
I feel like there's always that. We'll get everything all together on kind of like a hidden link on our website before we go live. And we'll send it to them kind of all packaged up. And like sometimes the responses we get are like very sweet because, like one of our recent listings last year, there was a stray cat she was taking care of for years, in the yard. And like one of the shots, the photographer just got like the little cat on the walkway. And
Aww.
She was like, "You lost me at the cat." Like she was like, I started sobbing when I saw the cat. Because they're moving to a whole other country and she's like leaving the cat there because the cat's always lived outside there.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, it means a lot when people are like very moved by what we're doing.
So sellers must be afraid that they're going to sell their home to someone who's going to destroy it in some way. So tell us how that angle works, because that's another reason why I'm always really interested in what you're selling, but I always go into it with like a little knot in my gut, just afraid that somebody's going to buy it and then either paint all that beautiful brown natural woodwork, or they're going to just tear it down and build something new.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like people find us, and especially these like legacy properties we've been selling that have been either first time on the market or been in the same family for 100 years. These are like super special transfers that people probably have the deepest fears of what's going to happen to it. And sometimes some of these houses, if they're not in like historic designated preservation zones, I mean, these lots are highly coveted for apartment buildings and things like that. And they've seen demolition over the years. So yeah, that's very real. It's like a pressure we gladly take on, but it is challenging because the seller has to make the decision that's right for them. Ultimately, it's up to them. To a certain degree, we can't guarantee totally what's going to happen to the house, and we have to kind of tell them that. All we can really do is like talk to people. We make sure we meet every person who's writing an offer and just talk to them. And like usually if someone really loves a home, you can tell when they're genuine and gushing. And it's actually surprising to me how many people walk through a home and like criticize it, openly criticize it. And you're just like, okay, like taking mental notes,
Have you never watched House Hunters? You're in.
Yeah, I know. Gosh. But you would think when you're around like the listing agent, you'd be a little more stealthy, but man, people are not. But it's good. I'm glad they're being open in front of me.
Yes.
But yeah, it's up to the seller, but we do share feedback, like, hey, I feel like this person, really is going to do right by the house. Again, we can't guarantee all the choices they will make, but this is how we feel. And if they're really concerned, I mean, they can try to put a historic landmark designation on it. But sometimes that can kind of add an extra layer of challenge to trying to sell it, because sometimes there's like old house people who do love old houses, but then that adds like this layer where they're just like, ugh, don't want to deal with that. You know, because it is just another step of approval and stuff, But yeah, I mean, it is a challenge. I feel like we've succeeded a lot in finding really fabulous people. The funniest was that Harvey H. Cox residence we sold where they had the original piano, billiard table, and dining room table in it. I'm telling you, every neighbor was coming over or calling and be like, that dining room table is original in the house. If that thing leaves, that would be a tragedy. And I was like, I know, and we're working on it, but there was this neighborhood pressure. That table better be staying. And I was like, we are working on it. And thank God we found somebody who was great, offered a great price, and also wanted to buy the table and keep it there forever. But yeah, we love that challenge, but it is a challenge.
But it's a challenge. Yeah. Have you ever been burned?
So far, not really. I can't think of anyone who's like purchased a great old time capsule of ours that we went, oh God, after. So far, fingers crossed, I feel like I need to now like knock on wood. But
right.
Yeah, I think the good thing is like our followers, we just have a really great group of followers. And the amount of people that find us on Instagram, like find the houses on Instagram, they were like, I wasn't even looking in this area. I was just following you and then like fell in love with the house. Instagram is a very powerful tool in selling real estate and finding cool people for them.
I'm still hung up on you coming in and doing projects after you sold the house. My agent, I remember when I bought my house, she was literally like, well, it's a nice old house. I don't know. And then as soon as we closed, I would run into her sometimes and I'm working on the house. So, and she'd be like, what are you trying to compete for the ugliest house around? Like, just like so mean. So the idea of her coming in and helping with something is just shocking to me.
Okay, wait a minute. You're going to have to give us some backstory on this. So Erin, you go into these houses or help the homeowners after they've purchased the house?
Yeah, I just can't help myself sometimes. I just see like a good fireplace and I'm like, I don't know. I'm just like, if you buy this, I will come over and strip this fireplace. Like it's a gift. To me, it's like a gift I'm giving back to the client. Of course, it means sometimes my house falls to the wayside, helping other people. I was kind of joking with, I was talking to Ashley from the Gold Hive about this, and she was like, it's like the cobbler syndrome, like the cobbler's children have no shoes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's a little bit of that. But I feel like what I love about South LA, it has a rich history of like neighbors helping neighbors. And I feel like I'm trying to keep that alive. I feel like what you guys are doing, like when you guys were all working at the Silver Lake house with Brad, I was like, that is kind of what was really ingrained here in South LA of like people buying these big old mansions that they were like super naive, spending weekends stripping paint together with beer and pizza and, helping each other. And so while that's not as vibrant here, it's still there a little bit. I try to do my part to help keep that alive. And it's funny because I've had clients be like, what other realtor provides free manual labor as a gift? Thank you. That is the best kind of gift. But yeah, so
That's nice.
I can't help myself.
I just want to put a personal note out to my boyfriend. Beer and pizza would be really a nice addition to these.
I was actually thinking of the same thing, Daniel. I was like,
Was there no beer or pizza provided?
There was no beer.
He treats us
or
like
pizza.
trash.
Cracking the whip. Keep going.
We only get food after dark, and
Yeah, I packed my own lunch.
she really did.
He runs a tight ship over there.
He stranded me up on a boom lift for like 10 hours straight, and so no
my
food,
God.
no water. I came back. It's like I was through the war.
The first day I was there, I said, so do you all break for lunch or anything? And they said, no, we usually just work all the way and then we have a late dinner. And I thought, okay, I will not survive. I had packed my lunch. So I ate my lunch. I eat like every 2 hours, like a small toddler. I can't wait a whole day.
I have to say, the few times I've donated my services to either a client or a neighbor, they have taken really good care of me. They've been like, we're going to order lunch. Okay, what do you want? And they they get wine, they get beer. They're like, what else do you want? They'll bring like nuts over and crackers and cheese. And I feel like I'm always well taken care of by people I help. So
Brad, take notes.
please, Brad.
Well, Erin, to bring it back to houses instead of poor Brad, what are buyers usually afraid of when they're going into an old house like this? And how do you help them move past those fears?
Well, I think number one is always foundation, right? It's like everybody's like, I'm not doing foundation work. I'm not doing it. I bought our house thinking like we needed one wall done, and in the end, we ended up replacing the whole thing. So I feel like I've been through it. I definitely, if someone needs to do it, I'm there and able to give good insight into it. But yeah, foundations are always like something people want to avoid. But I don't know. The houses have been here all this time. My personal opinion is probably like, I have to be careful saying this. I don't want to be liable for anybody's house like falling off its foundation during an earthquake. But I'm like, they've been here all this time, going through the Northridge earthquake and in 94, and I don't know. So first couple of years, I think I was nervous about our foundation, and then you just kind of get, whatever, I'll get to it when I can, because we only have so much money, right? So yeah, I think foundation's always the big scary, and sewer too. Sewer can be a big, yeah.
It's funny, it's like two things that are just not at all fun and like kind of invisible. I don't want to deal with either of those things either.
No, I know. And maybe I was a big dummy to buy a house that needed a whole new foundation, but I don't know. I have no regrets. No regrets.
Well, nothing lasts forever, but by the same token, like you said, those houses have been there. The earthquakes didn't just start post 1950 or 1940. They've been there all along. You've had earthquakes in that area for sure.
Yeah, totally. And it is surprising though, buyers get very overwhelmed very quickly in general. It is hard here in LA because you are putting so much money in just getting the house. Like the down payments people have to come up with are like kind of ridiculous. And then they're kind of left with not much money to do anything else. But at the same time, even though I bought it at a much cheaper price 10 years ago, I mean, it still was true 10 years ago. Ben and I, when we bought our properties, we had almost no money left in the bank and our houses needed everything. And so it's just a matter of, one, telling people the reality is there's going to be boring stuff to pay for. Like that's just the reality. And that's always a bit surprising to people, which I think is interesting that people expect the electrical and the plumbing and everything to be like potentially on the up and up. And I'm like, no. But it's a matter of just prioritizing what's urgent. And it does mean like sometimes like the fun stuff has to wait. And so like some people can wrap their head around that. And some people are just like, no, I can't. I need a dream kitchen now or I need HVAC now. But if you really want the house, you got to like prioritize the stuff that's actually failing now, and it's worth it. The slow, long road is worth it. That's what I always remind people. Like, this concept that we're going to be done with our houses in 2 to 5 years, I just really want to dismantle that with every single person I meet. Any of the best houses that sell, like old houses that sell, have a 10 to 30-year story behind it. And so I just remind them, like, those houses that hit the market that you're drooling over, it was a slow road, a slow, rewarding road. So, like, get on board. It's very fun,
You'll be amazed what you can get used to.
Yeah, it's true. I know my clients look at me like I'm nuts when I tell them like I don't have HVAC yet. And it's like year 9 and they're like, what? And I'm like, It's California. It's like 72 and sunny most of the year. And there's 3 weeks that I'm extremely cold and rotating 2 space heaters and 3 weeks that I'm really hot and have a window unit. And it's like, I'm getting HVAC this year, though. It's finally happening. But, when you got to prioritize a roof, I know, it's so exciting. When you got to prioritize electrical, plumbing, roof, foundation, drainage, I mean, it's like, that's more pressing.
Sure. One of my questions was, what advice would you give new buyers of old houses? And you really just said that. It's going to be a 20 or 30-year process. So I think that's great.
And I think through that process, that's how people realize. We got clients who think they want a fixer, and through the journey realize they can't stomach it. And then they go for something that's a little more like flipped, even though that wasn't what they wanted. Although I'll argue, I'm trying to tell people I'm a big fan of unflipping the flip. That's like a different version of a fixer. You know what I mean? So
sure, I'm
doing that a little bit in our house. We had a very like lazy flipper do our house. So he left all the good stuff alone. But yeah, I'm unflipping some of the rooms that are flipped.
How has house flipping affected the market and neighborhoods there?
It's tough. That's another thing that getting into real estate, I was like, I don't know that I can, the flipping side of things is always this thing that makes me so sad. And it's this thing that we can't really stop, capitalism or whatever, it's just, people are gonna buy what they can buy and do what they want. And there are some good flippers out there doing some interesting projects. So that's like refreshing, but I wish there was more of it. I'm sad about it because how in the long run, like very important pieces of the house are lost just for a momentary trend, as much as I like some of the trends that are going on right now, I am a little concerned that we're going to be looking at some of these houses in like 10 years and being like, remember when zealage tile and like deep veined marble solid sinks were very popular? Like, and I'm saying this as someone who like thinks they're very pretty. My gut is feeling like we're going to look back on that and be like, remember when that was a thing? So in the process, we lose stained glass pieces because right now all the stained glass, the lead is like coming to the end of its lifetime, and flippers don't want to have it carried off by some stained glass repair person for like 10 grand. They just want to put a new piece of plain glass in there. So I just feel like in the speed of flipping, we are losing a lot. But I don't know what the answer is to stopping it. But, you know, it's part of my job. And I'm glad that the people that come to us are like kind of continuing to like carry on most of the time the good work, you know, of like preserving these old homes.
For sure. So why don't you go ahead and tell listeners how they can learn more about you and your brand, Historic Real Estate LA. Tell us about your social media accounts if they want to find a house in LA and they can contact you or your business partner, Ben.
They can go to historicrealestatela.com or follow me at _the parks or Ben Kale at Historic Real Estate LA as well.
Wonderful. Also, I guess before we say goodbye, I want to mention one more off-topic thing, and that is that you and I, Erin, are both avid runners.
Yes.
And you're going to be running the Boston Marathon. So I just want to wish you luck and run like the wind.
Thank you.
Have a blast. It's so much fun.
Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much for being here today, Erin.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah. Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me here. I can't thank you enough. This has been a treat.
Well, it's been a treat for us too.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to True Tales from Old Houses, and thank you to today's guest, Erin Keegan.
To continue the conversation, please join us on Facebook and Instagram at True Tales from Old Houses. And you can follow Stacy at Blake Hill House and myself at Daniel Cantor.
And to learn more about everything we discussed in today's episode or request a transcript, visit truetalesfromoldhouses.com. Until next time.
See you later.